Imagine dying alone in a $4 million Manhattan townhouse, surrounded by gold records, Grammy nominations, and decades of fame. No one there, no hand to hold, no final goodbye. This is not a fictional story. This is the real, final chapter of one of America's most iconic rock legends, Ric Ocasek, the man who sold over 25 million records, the man whose music played at every American prom, every road trip, every teenage heartbreak in the 1980s. And yet, he died alone on a Sunday afternoon in September 2019, and nobody found him for hours. Today, we're going to tell you the story they never showed on MTV. The real story, the human story. Stay with me, because by the end of this video, you will never listen to Just What I Needed the same way again. Richard Theodore Ocasek was born on March 23, 1944, in Baltimore, Maryland. He grew up in a country that was rapidly changing. Post-war America, the age of television, the birth of rock and roll. But young Rick didn't fit in. He was tall, 6 feet 4 inches, skinny, awkward, with sharp, angular features that made him look almost alien-like compared to the clean-cut American boys of his era. He wasn't the quarterback. He wasn't the prom king. He was the quiet kid in the back of the classroom who heard something in music that other people couldn't hear. By his early 20s, Rick had dropped out of college. Twice. Once from Antioch College in Ohio and once from Bowling Green State University. His parents were worried. America in the 1960s didn't reward dreamers easily. You either had a job, a family, and a house with a white picket fence, or you were considered a failure. But Ric Ocasek refused to follow that script. He moved to Cleveland, Ohio, and started playing small gigs in smoky bars. Barely making rent. Eating cheap. Sleeping on floors. This was the real America that nobody sings about. The America of struggle, of rejection, of betting everything on a dream. In 1976, in Boston, Massachusetts, Ric Ocasek formed a band. He called them the Cars. The name was simple. The sound was revolutionary. They mixed hard rock guitar with synthesizer keyboards, something nobody had done quite like this before in mainstream American music. Record labels weren't sure what to do with them. Was it rock? Was it pop? Was it new wave? It was all of it. And America wasn't ready. Until suddenly, it was. In 1978, their debut album, The Cars, exploded. It spent 139 weeks on the Billboard charts. 139 weeks by. That's almost 3 years of continuous charting. Songs like Just What I Needed, My Best Friend's Girl, and Good Times Roll. They weren't just songs. They were the soundtrack of American life. Playing on every radio in every diner, every highway, every American living room. By the early 1980s, the Cars were one of the biggest bands in the world. MTV launched in 1981, and the Cars' music videos were some of the first ever aired. Ric Ocasek had done it. The awkward kid from Baltimore who didn't fit in, had made all of America fall in love with him. But here's what fame in America rarely shows you. What happens behind the gold records? In 1989, at the age of 45, Ric Ocasek met a woman who would change his life forever. Her name was Paulina Porizkova. She was 24 years old, one of the most famous supermodels in the world, on the cover of Sports Illustrated, the face of Estee Lauder. To the outside world, it looked like a fairy tale. The rock legend and the supermodel, living in a stunning $4 million townhouse on East 19th Street in Manhattan, New York. They got married. They had 2 sons, Jonathan and Oliver. For years, the American media painted them as the perfect couple. But reality, as it always does, told a different story. In 2018, Paulina publicly announced they had separated. But here's the heartbreaking part. They were still living in the same house. In the same townhouse, under the same roof. 2 people who had once loved each other deeply, now living as strangers in a multi-million-dollar home in the middle of New York City. This is the reality of life in America that nobody talks about. You can have the fame, you can have the money, you can have the beautiful home in Manhattan, and still feel completely, utterly alone. Ric Ocasek gave America some of the greatest music of the 20th century. He chased his dream when everyone said it was impossible. He built an empire from nothing, from a skinny, awkward kid in Baltimore to the stage of Madison Square Garden. But his story also reminds us of something deeply human, something that fame cannot fix, money cannot buy, and success cannot protect you from: the need to be truly seen, truly loved, truly not alone. In America, land of dreams, land of ambition, we are sometimes so busy chasing the life we want that we forget to actually live the one we have. Rest in peace, Ric Ocasek. Your music will live forever.